The Legend of Zelda meets Dynasty Warriors. What a combination. I must admit I've never dabbled much into Dynasty Warriors, but the concept of applying that to Zelda was an interesting idea to say the least. It was first released on the Wii U in 2014, then ported to the Nintendo 3DS in 2016 as Hyrule Warriors Legends, and now the best of both versions has been combined to make Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition for the Switch, and that's the version I played for the majority of the time. How does it run? Well, let's take a look. Spoiler warning. The story begins with Zelda having a nightmare that dark forces are coming, because they always do. Then they find Link in a yard. That's pretty fast, I must say. After a battle from said dark forces, Zelda disappears and Link is given his familiar green tunic by Impa. Following that, they meet Sheik, who is exactly who you think she is. They also meet this young girl named Lana. She'll become much more important later on in the story, as we will soon see. That consists of the prologue session. From then on, the game splits into 3 sections: the Ocarina of Time era, the Twilight Princess era, and the Skyward Sword era, where you run into familiar characters of those games, which is all said and good for fan service. This is a celebration of Zelda, after all. Following that, Link gets the Master Sword, and supposedly he becomes much more cocky, a flaw that's more informed than anything else due to the fact that Link, as always, doesn't talk. They go after Sia, who is basically Lana's evil devil, who has a serious obsession with Link. Amazed she doesn't try to murder Zelda. Not much to say about this. Tears are shed, Sia dies, and everybody goes their separate ways. Until, that is, Ganondorf appears, having waited for just such a moment. He summons Zant and Giraham to his side, and after asserting his dominance, he takes control of all the armies, and then he actually defeats Link and Zelda and secures the whole Triforce. You see, this is why I like Ganondorf as a villain. He gets stuff done. Now with the heroes' backs against the wall, it's time to fight back against the Demon King. The story is fine. It's a fan service game, and that's precisely what the game is meant to be. Seeing all these characters from different games team up is quite a sight to behold. Ganondorf shows why he's one of my favorite villains, because he pretty much just takes control of everything once he shows up, but I'll cover the rest when we get to the ending. The game looks absolutely beautiful. The colors, the backgrounds, the hordes of enemies, the landscape, the character models, it all visually pops. The music is pretty good too. I especially like Skyloft's theme. The only problem I have is that there is little to no voice acting in the game. There is a narration, but none of the characters ever talk. It's just a little distracting. I know Nintendo was probably nervous about doing voice acting, but come on, it was time. As for how each game looks, I'll show you the opening cutscene from Wii, 3DS, and Switch versions to compare. The roster of the characters is nice and expansive. Since this is the definitive edition, you have access to other characters from other games. So we have representatives from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Spirit Tracks, and A Link Between Worlds. No Breath of the Wild characters made in, which, to be fair, that game wasn't out at the time, and I'm sure they'll be in Hyrule Warriors 2 if they make it. Well, what can I say about this style of gameplay? You are basically a one-man army, cutting up anything that gets in your way with whatever weapons you have. It's so satisfying to rack up your combo meter. Using the special attacks and magic attacks does add some variety to the mix. The Wii U game didn't have the ability to switch between characters, the 3DS version added that, and now with the ability to change your character, it's a complete package. It's all about capturing keeps, taking out enemy commanders, and making sure you have the advantage in the war. Of course, when I use the term one-man army, I really mean it. You are on your own. Your backup, they don't do anything. They just exist to get mauled down by the monsters, who are also fairly indifferent to when you beat them up. You also have some variety with enemies who have shields that you have to break down. This is always a bit more tedious. That's where another factor comes into play. Grinding. You will need to grind everything in order to have a chance. Whether you want to do that by simply playing the game multiple times, or by using the bazaar to level up really fast, that's up to you. Also, you're going to spend a lot of time crafting things in this bazaar. There's a lot to do. The adventure maps are huge, and they all boast awards, whether it be a gold skeleton to collect to complete a picture, or a piece of art for a specific character. But sometimes you need to have a certain item to be able to search to unlock the reward you need. So, back at the grinding table. There are so many maps, so many costumes, so many characters to unlock. I want to do them all, but I don't have time. I'll play some more on my leisure time. Of course, there's the matter of fighting giant bosses, who all come in various varieties. It sticks to the usual Zelda formula of using an item that they're weak to for damage. It's satisfying to deliver a huge blow to them. Of course, there's one boss I haven't talked about yet, who I'll get into right now, actually. Skip to this time in the video if you don't want to be spoiled. So the time has come. It's time to take the fight back to Ganondorf. After defeating his flunkies, which is pretty easy, it's time to take back Hyrule. The land is devastated with fire, brimstone, and a sword sticking out of the castle. It looks like hell. You have to slowly wear down the field by capturing keeps, then Ganondorf will emerge from the castle. Guess he was lazy. Once he's out, you go and take back the castle keep, which will take the sword out of the castle. Heh, I wish I could say that's the only thing Hyrule Castle will ever have to worry about. So now it's time for the final confrontation with Ganondorf. A straightforward one-on-one duel emerges, which plays out like any other final confrontation. But then he'll transform into Ganon. Ganon's a biped in this version. You have to use every item against him to weaken him. Once that's done, you finally get access to the light arrows. But you have to time your shots just right, or else it'll have no effect. Wear him down, and boom, you'll deliver the final blow. So with that, the Triforce is taken from Ganon, and it seals him away. Everyone returns to their proper arrows, Lana says her goodbyes to Link and Zelda, and the two seal the darkness away with the Master Sword. A little rushed, but hey, it's an ending. Well, not quite. There's still the 3 add-on missions, which I'll talk about real quick. The first I did was a story that centers around Linkle, who is Link's, I don't think she's related to him, actually. She thinks she's the legendary hero and goes out to save the day, going through various eras of space and time to do so, and splintered timelines, which is how the Zelda timeline works, so not sure how she's doing this. Is she going through gates? At the end, she saves the castle from King Dodongo, proving that, in a way, she is a hero in her own right. The second was Sia's story, which tells of how she recruited her followers to fight for her side. There's not much to really say about it, but does show that Lana's determined to not give up on her other half. That's loyalty. It does kind of tie into the next episode. The Wind Waker quest, which finally brings Wind Waker into the foray, which was welcomed. Link has to team up with Tetra, King Daphnis, and Lana to save Sia from the darkness, and Phantom Ganon shows up because, I don't know, he just does. So through the power of teamwork, they defeat Phantom Ganon. Tetra and the King return to their timeline, which is the only explanation since Twilight Princess and Wind Waker don't take place in the same timeline. Oh boy, Zelda continuity is such a mess. Link, Zelda, and Lana use the Triforce to fix everything, because the Triforce is basically like the Dragon Balls, the solution to all your problems. Lana and Sia are off to continue guarding, and Link, Zelda, and Impa see them off. Not much to it, but hey, I like a happy ending. Hyrule Warriors is a lot of fun, especially if you're a big Zelda fan. It's fan service, but it's well done fan service. Be prepared to sink a lot of hours into it. I'm at 20 hours and counting. It's a perfectly fine game. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like, subscribe, and bell button, and I'll see you next time.